In our modern urbanized society, it is easy to forget that as recently as 1870, 70% of Americans worked the land. The economic fortunes of millions were tied up in the land. Agriculture's importance to America's destiny is extensively explored in American literature, most notably in The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. The Girard family's misfortune begins when they're forced off their farmland and become migrant workers in California. Ultimately, the root cause for their misfortune and other migrant workers' misfortune is not the bad weather, but rather the exploitation of the migrant workers who own no land by the rich landowners. Whoever owned the land had the power. But today, the land doesn't seem so important in our daily lives. In today's industrialized, urbanized society, when ready-to-eat food is delivered to us in multiple layers of multicolored plastic wrap, it's easy to lose sight of where our food comes from and how it is grown. Even the mass majority of real food, like fruits, vegetables, and especially meats, are grown on huge industrialized farms. But in the seemingly dire situation, more and more people are slowly becoming aware of where their food comes from. And if we look closely, we can still find small farms growing food in traditional, sustainable ways. In today's show, we'll explore this way of life, its relevance in today's modern society, and the importance of caring for the land. So, our first stop is the Redmond Saturday Market.
Let's go!
What brings you to the Saturday Market today?
I'm here because some of my friends are filming a This Redmond Life project and it's great.
We have chickens, pigs, ducks, a lot of ducks, and then cows sometimes. Yeah, so the land for us is everything. So I spend a lot of time working on the grass and stuff like that because all our chickens, cows, and pigs are out on the pasture. So the grass is what they eat, is what people eat.
We primarily grow plants to bring into the urban area. I've been in the nursery industry for 40 years.
All right, thank you.
The farm was set up 3 years ago.
Our next stop is Keep It Simple Farm, which is just off Avondale Road in Redmond.
I'm an environmental horticulturist. You know what that means. I finished a horticulture program at Lake Washington Technical Institute, and I have to get my 2,000 work hours before I get certified as certified professional horticulturist. We learn details of each plant there. So here I want to learn more about edibles. So I was really keen on joining the farm here. So I just am here to work in the greenhouse, taking care of plants from seeds. I raise the plants from seeds to selling point.
They aren't really a farm per se, but their mission is to provide the tools for people like you and I who live in suburbia or urban areas to grow our own food. Listen to Leon Hussey, founder of Keep It Simple Farm, describe their mission.
One of the things that we've found is that most of the books out prior to 1950s are really textbooks that we use in agriculture. It's not brand new ones because we're going back and looking at traditional practices, why they were successful, and then backing that up with some research and also some microscope work and some other things. So one of the things that we're always trying to do is to build the soil and increase the habitat. So we have the microbiology that actually drives the system. One of the problems that we struggle with in the urban area is very, very poor soils. And the poor soils are a result of our practices for building homes. We come in, we clear the land, they sell the topsoil, they build the house, they've compacted the soil, and it's all subsoil around the house. And then they bring 2 inches of recycled material in and lay that down. And then the homeowners are always struggling with really, really poor soils. And so the natural reaction is to use more chemicals. You're fighting disease, you're fighting pests, and you're also fighting non-natives that are first to move into this area. So our function is to educate the public on the potential benefits of beneficial biology in the soil, having soils that are functional, and then the people have success. And when they're finished with us, we're telling them that they really need to stay with organics and feed the beneficial and not bring in the Roundup, not bring in the other products that actually destroy the flora in the soil. If you smell it, it should smell like mushrooms. Can you smell it?
Oh. Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you're smelling is the life in the soil. Whereas most composts, if you smell them, they don't smell good. And if it doesn't smell good, you shouldn't use it. One of the biggest problems that we have in doing what we do, getting organics into the urban area, is all of the marketing that you can't grow plants with organics. You have to use chemicals, and it's not true. That's the message that we get from the chemical companies. Whereas what we deal with, other than the minerals and the nutrients, is biology that's now active. And a classic example of that is using the compost tea. I would like to send to people that live in suburbia or the urban area is that they can replace a lot of the ornamental shrubs and trees that they have, put really great soil in that's actively alive with biology, and grow a lot of their own food, or at least put plants in that we know are pollinators, because there's a real problem with honeybees not having access to enough food, and mason bees and other pollinators. And our biggest challenge is really getting people to listen to us and understanding that nutrient-dense food is going to make them healthier. What they eat has a huge impact on their whole life and the life of their children. And the young people are starting to understand this. It's been really exciting because we're getting 20 and 30-year-olds that are coming in, are actually concerned about their health and want to put in nutrient-dense food.
Ultimately, Keep It Simple Farm's mission to provide quality soils in the urban areas supports the most literal interpretation of the Promised Land. By improving the soils in our homes, we can build a connection to the land right in our own front yards. Keep It Simple Farm's philosophy that we must work with the land, whether it's supporting the beneficial bacteria that help ecosystems thrive, or reducing waste by reusing and recycling as much as possible, will be an integral part in building the sustainable food systems of the future. Our final stop is Sky Valley Family Farm in Startup, Washington, about 40 minutes away from Redmond. They have pasture-raised chickens and ducks, and they sell their meat and eggs at local farmers markets, Asian supermarkets, and other places like PCC. So we visited the farm to see what it was all about.
Because they're not able to walk a long ways like the hens are. So every day I move the pens to a new spot so they can have new grass. So I built this hand cart that fits right on the back. And use that as like the portable. So this is them moving to their new area.
We got to shadow the farmers as they did their morning chores, and we even got to go on an Easter egg hunt. I mean, we helped collect the duck and chicken eggs.
What's that? Yeah, a lot of recycling. We tried to, a lot of the stuff you see is recycled. Like I said, the travel trailer. All these panels alongside the hoop houses, all those white ones are old doors that people don't want to use anymore that are cut up. We use them as walls.
Oh, yeah, you can see
Yeah, you
the
can actually see the back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted to do something with like fish originally, but my dad had owned the farm, so I'm trying that for a couple of years just to see how that goes. Having a farm like this. For me, having a farm like this as a younger farmer is that there's really no younger farmers that are starting to farm. It's all a lot of older farmers. So I think it's really important that younger people get interested in farming and start farming, because otherwise there won't be anybody really to farm and feed people. So I think the most important thing, organic is real important, but the most important thing is for the animals to be out on grass. Because that's so different than like the normal chicken and egg that you normally get. So whenever a chicken is able to eat bugs and grass and stuff, the nutritional information for the egg is far different than the one that it hasn't. They're way better for you. And then also just for me, like you saw the chickens outside, they're pretty happy and stuff. The ones in a building are in a cage or stuff like that, so the chickens are really, that's not how they're meant to live. So for me, that's probably the most important, is the animal welfare, I guess if you want to call it that. So for us, grass quality is kind of everything, since that's what all our animals eat. So for instance, when you're asking what we do with all the manure from the chickens and stuff, it all goes back out on the fields, which in turn helps the grass grow more nutritious and better. And then we're always working on getting rid of like thistles and blackberries and stuff and converting that over to clovers and different grasses that are even better for chickens to eat. And we try to do everything we can, use everything here on the farm. Like we don't sell compost or anything, it all goes back into the farm. Same with the chickens out on the pasture like that. The nice thing about that is all the manure then and stuff goes right into the grass and the ground, as opposed to like a big farm would put that into like a pond or something, which might pollute rivers or pollute something else, and then they pump it out all over the place. But ours goes right back into the grass, and we get a benefit of that. So thankfully that is getting really popular. So we have a very large customer base that matters to. And one of the things we do here, like we mentioned recycling, we do not use much in the way of machinery to speak of. Most of it is hand labor. In fact, that little go-kart thing you just saw, we just got that. Up until then, everything was carried by hand everywhere. So for us, that is important. I think it's important that people sell food locally, because whenever you sell it a long ways away, the trucking and so on and so forth creates a tremendous amount of not only pollution, but just stuff that isn't necessary, where you could just sell it to your local community. So that's what we try to do. We don't sell any further than like Seattle. Everything is sold right in this area. And we also, like you guys came out, we love having people out to see how stuff is raised, because then they actually know where their food comes from, because not many people truly know like where chickens live and stuff. So I think it's really important that people get back to buying local. It's really important for us.
In today's show, we explored what a connection to the land can mean in today's increasingly urbanized world. Both of the farms we visited emphasized the value of working with the land, not adding industrial inputs like fertilizers or pesticides or herbicides, and synergistically making the land better year after year in a sustainable way. As we learned from Leon Hussey, this way of sustainable farming isn't newfangled. It's the way all of our food was grown before the 20th century. And that can start with buying food from small family-owned farms like Sky Valley, or even if our own backyards with the help of Keep It Simple Farm. So, as we look towards the sustainable food systems of the future, we have so much to learn from the wisdom of the past. The land was promised to us, and we have a responsibility to care for it for future generations.
Technician making tracks from a crate of old wax. I reinvent with good intent, so you can tell from the sound it's time well spent. Sent from the past to elevate for the mass. You form material just to show you got class. Well, I'm a bigger man, so I let the nonsense pass. You need to open your eyes, because my mind stayed fast. Let it be known that my wisdom is shown, that perfection is the key to unlock my microphone. I'm penetrating your zone, leaving all spots blown, but you never would have guessed it from the sound of my tone. When you see me around, just hit me off with a pound, and I'll be the first to show you how